Good afternoon and a warm welcome to everyone. And thank you once again for joining for Nehru Planetarium, this online talk. As you all know, that we are here for some very interesting discussion, and also which is relevant for today's a very special celestial treat, which we some part of the India will gonna see it. So some part of the India will witness a total lunar eclipse on November 8th, that is today, a fortnight after the partial solar eclipse on October 25th. This is the last Chandragrahan of the year and will be visible in India of some cities. To understand more about moon and eclipse, today we have with us Miss Rashmi Sheoran, amateur astronomer and a science communicator who will be talking on the topic mystery of moon and eclipse in detail. So about Rashmi, Rashmi is a physicist from Delhi University and a multimedia science communicator, mostly known for her award winning personal project Astro Roxy. She creates content for all things space, from rocket launches to astronomical discoveries to celestial events like lunar eclipse happening in evening today. She's also a citizen scientist and has become a Genesis record holder and main belt asteroid discoverer through that. She loves astrophotography, watching anime, advocating for mental health, and interacting with students. So, Planetarium is really privileged to host you, Rashmi, and we really look forward to know more interesting fact about moon and in connection to today's eclipse. So, over to you.
Yes, good afternoon, and thank you for the lovely introduction, Prerna. And I'm very excited to present a talk on lunar eclipses, moon, and especially the mystery of the eclipses. So, we are going to witness today the last lunar eclipse of 2022. We will address some myths, we will also address some facts, some stories. So, without any further ado, let's just get started. The very first thing is anywhere, if you like my presentation, or if you have some questions which are unanswered, if you have some doubts even after today's event, you can always reach out to me. You can find my work at the rate astroroxy. I keep on making content just like it was mentioned in my introduction. And now specifically about what are we going to discuss today. We are going to discuss, first of all, a story which is related to lunar eclipses, because this story really signifies how important it is to know the science behind these celestial events, because if you don't know the science, somebody could really take advantage of us. We're going to see how was the moon formed, and what is an eclipse, why do we have eclipses, the difference between solar and lunar eclipse, why does the moon appear red when it's a lunar eclipse, some myths, some pseudoscience, and how to watch today's eclipse as well. And in the end, I will take any questions, so stick around till the end. So let's come to the story. How did a total lunar eclipse save Christopher Columbus? So, I think some of you might already know about Christopher Columbus. Whenever we study about the history of that the earth is going around the sun, or the sun is going around the earth, we have these heliocentric theories and geocentric theories. We always come across this name, which is Christopher Columbus. So how many of you have heard about Christopher Columbus? You can write it in the chat. I will wait for a minute, and I think we can see your live chat replies as well, and then we will move forward. So does Christopher Columbus, this name, ring a bell in your head? Anything you have heard about him? Did he discover something, or did he invent something? Was he a really good musician? Anything that is related to him? Let's see. So you guys can quickly let me know in the chat by okay. Hello, everybody's saying hello. And let's go. Who has heard about Christopher Columbus? Hello to everyone who is joining. Let's see. Anything that you have heard about him? Let's see. So that I know that everybody is active here and they have some information about the astronomers or scientists of the past. And then we will forward. Because Shreya is asking who is Christopher Columbus. Okay. Um, let's see if somebody knows, because I think we have a lot of students here and this name really comes. Just like we have Newton and Tikaram says he has heard. So, Tikaram, where have you heard? What did he do? Did he see the first lunar eclipse, or did he discover that the Earth was round? Okay. Christopher Columbus found the location of India using a different route. That means he was a traveler, he was a sailor, an explorer, a pirate, somebody who used to roam around the world, and he found India using his own route. That's correct. He went around the world for the first time. That also proves that the earth is round. So yes. And he was an Italian explorer, Muhammad Salman says. Is there anything else he did? He first recorded lunar eclipses observation. Wow. He found Americans. Yes. Poonam Chauhan says he found Americans, and that is important for our story. You see, he went around the world. He went to India, through a different through a different route, and he did several of these scientific expeditions. Not always scientific, some different kind of expeditions. He was an explorer. Now, what happened if somebody is exploring, and we're not talking about 2022, we're talking about the 15th century, somewhere in like 1540 or 1490, that time, many, many years ago from today, 500 years ago from today. What would happen if he is on his expedition, going to America, going to India on a ship, and something happens? Just like we had the coronavirus pandemic, what if not something as serious as coronavirus breaks out, but an epidemic breaks out? How is he going to survive? And these things used to happen in the past too. And what happened is, in one of his voyages that he used to travel through his ship, in one of his voyages, there was an epidemic. And what happened is, he had many ships, but there were so many earthworms, and they had made a hole in his ships, and he had to abandon two of his ship, and he had to take rest near an island which is now known as Jamaica. And this was not part of his original plan. He was on his way exploring the world, and there's an epidemic, so he had to stop, take rest. And where was he taking rest? He was taking somewhere in Jamaica. Now, what happened is, first of all, the people of Jamaica, which were the villagers, the native people, they were like, just like we say, Atiti Devo Bhava. So they were very good to him. They were giving him treats, they were giving him very special food. But slowly and slowly, they realized that Christopher Columbus and his entire fleet of all these sailors, they're not going away. And they just kept on eating their food, all their resources, just chilling, not working. And that was a problem for them. So, what they did after 6 months, Christopher Columbus and all his men had spent 6 months, the villagers started to get annoyed. They were like, just go away from here. We don't want you here anymore. You are not helping us in building our village. You are just eating and using all of our resources. We don't want you here anymore. Just go away. And that is a problem, because Christopher Columbus did not had the resources to go somewhere else. Now what happened is, something came to his rescue, which is an alamang. What is an alamang? Just like we have a calendar today which shows that tomorrow is Tuesday, and this at this time this happens, we have a calendar which has all the dates and all the festivals we have. Alamang is an astronomical calendar, and Christopher Columbus had this Alamang, a copy of this Alamang, and he used to see all these events. They have a mention of the lunar eclipse that were going to happen, solar eclipse, meteor showers, a comet that is going to be seen. All of these astronomical events, they were written in a book, and Christopher Columbus had a copy of that book. So what he did was, he looked around, when is going to be the next lunar eclipse in is Alamak. And he was very lucky in this, because what he found was, just after the 6 month period was over on his trip to Jamaica, and the villagers were very angry. They said that I am a messenger of the god, and now you've made me really angry. And if you don't listen to me, I am going to turn the moon as red. Just wait for 3 days. Either you let my men stay here, serve us, or the moon is going to turn red, and that means you have made me angry. And then he went away. And do you know what happened? He had already predicted he knew that a lunar eclipse is going to happen. So the lunar eclipse as the sun was setting, and this happened, actually, let me tell you on which date this had happened. So this is more than 500 years ago, on Thursday, February 29, 1504. More than 500 years ago, a total lunar eclipse was happening after the sun has set and the moon was rising. He knew what is the time of the moon rise, he knew what is the time of the lunar eclipse beginning. And the people, the villagers, did not have this information. And when the moon turned red, they all got scared. They took Columbus seriously and they thought he is really a messenger of the god, and they have made him angry. And now there is going to be a famine, or there is going to be a tsunami, some disaster, something is going to happen to their village because they have made this person angry who has come out of somewhere else, and he looks also very different. So they were just looking at the moon turn red and they had never seen it. And if somebody already predicts it, the way Columbus turned around the story, it was really advantageous for him. Later on, what happened is he knew when the lunar eclipse was going to end. It lasts anywhere from a few seconds up until 100 minutes or 1.5 hours. So he knew what is the duration when the lunar eclipse is going to end, and we will see how this lunar eclipse actually happens. But he already knew it, he knew the timing. So just before 5 minutes, he came out, wherever he was resting. He came in front of the villagers and said, "Okay, either you listen to me, or I am going to unleash even more havoc on your village." The villagers were scared. They were like, "Oh no, we're sorry. We will serve you. We will listen to you. We will give you all the food. You can stay as long as you want." And just before the moon was getting out of the shadow of the earth, he knew the timing. He said, "Okay, I'm happy. You need to serve me even more, give me even more food, and all my men more food. And we need to rebuild our ship. I need all the resources. Help me as much as you want. And now I'm happy with you. So I'm turning the moon back to its original color because the timing was perfect. The lunar eclipse has ended, the moon went back to its original state, and everybody was very shocked and surprised that they should not mess, they should not make Christopher Columbus angry because he is really someone who has connection, divine heavenly connections. And they kept on serving him until he had made a new ship and he started venturing out on his own once again. So, this knowledge of when a lunar eclipse is going to happen, a solar eclipse is going to happen, was really, really helpful for him. And that's how people got scared back in the day. Now, also, we know when is a lunar eclipse, when is a solar eclipse coming, when is a comet coming, meteor shower coming, occultation happening, all of these celestial events, we can predict them up until 1,000 years into the future, and even 1,000 years in the past as well. Because we have all this notion and knowledge, we should really be wary of anybody who tries to say some myths about it or say something that is not science. So today we will actually learn why a lunar eclipse happens. Is it something to do actually with gods being angry with us, or just a motion in our solar system? So let us move forward and see how was the moon formed? Yes. So before we come to an eclipse, we first of all need to see how was the moon formed. So I have written here something which is giant impact theory. So before I proceed to tell about this giant impact theory, I want to ask all the students who are present here and anybody else who's watching, the parents of the students who are also present here, how was the moon formed? How do they think it was formed? Either it was formed like our Earth stole a moon of Jupiter, or it stole another planet, it started revolving around it, or it was formed when the Earth was formed, or there was some sort of asteroid or a big planet came, it crashed into the Earth, or it was something else. What do you think? How was the moon formed? This is just one of the theory which I've written, giant impact theory, which we will talk about. But what about you? What do you think? How was the moon formed? Have you read any stories about it? Any articles about it? Let's see. We have Usha and Nimlesh and Himlata, Sresht and Purvi. So let's see. By Earth and Mars collapse. Okay. So Tikaram says that Earth and the Mars collapsed and we had moon. But we can still see Mars. So that means not the entire Mars had gone away in this collision. So we are free to guess and give all the theories, and then we will try to deduce what are the possibilities which are real and some possibilities which we can ignore. For example, if actually moon was formed by the collision of Mars and Earth, that means Mars should not have existed in the real world today. Moon formed during a collision between Earth and another small planet. Yes. Anybody has any guesses what was this another small planet known as? By a collapse, collision between Earth and another small planet, and that is Sumaira Nimle says. A theory says that the asteroid of the size of Mars hit the Earth and the debris came together to form the moon. Yes, this is a change in the theory that not Mars did not collide with our Earth, but something which was similar to Mars in the size and in volume that collided with the Earth, and we had the moon. That is also a theory. Now, see, it is different from just saying that Mars had collided with our own Earth. Pieces from the Earth fell off. Yes, that is also a thing. What would if just Earth broke apart into smaller parts, and those smaller parts now have formed the moon? That is also a theory. Karthik says by collapse and moon formed during a collision between Earth and another small planet. Tigaram says a portion of the Earth. So it moon is nothing but just a small portion of the Earth. And I will tell you that when the astronauts they went onto the moon during the Apollo mission, they actually found that. They collected the lunar soil just like we have soil on Earth. They collected the lunar soil, they brought it back on Earth, and they found that there were some similarities between the soil of the moon and the soil of the Earth, which suggest that both of these heavenly bodies have some relationship between them. Because we have also using detailed observation, we know how the surface of the Mars looks like. Now we know how the surface of moon looks like, and we obviously have way too much information how the surface of our Earth looks like. So there is similarity and some relationship between Earth and the moon, but not that relationship is not found when we see moon and Mars, or the Mars and Earth. So Mars is a completely different planet that is not in the picture when we talk about our moon and our Earth. Like they both are connected, but not with Mars. Thea, Abhishek says Thea was the small planet that had collided with our Earth. And that's right. During a collision between Earth and another small planet about the size of Mars, the debris impacted, collected into orbit, and it formed the moon. Yes, that's what the giant impact theory is. Either we can say that there was a very, very large asteroid bigger than that came during the time of asteroid dinosaurs, very big asteroid, or simply another planet. Now today we have 8 planets, but in the past when the solar system was very young, billions of years ago, we are talking 4.5 billion years ago when the Earth was formed. That time, there were many planets and many asteroids. Things were very violent. Planets and asteroids and moons are just colliding with each other, bumping into each other. So, what happened is there was a object which may or may not be spherical. It may or may not look like a ball. It could be an asteroid, a very big asteroid, a very big comet. We do not know it for sure because it has been billions of years from then till now. But it was a very massive object, not as big as the Earth, but somewhere around the size of Mars. We know that Mars is smaller in size than the Earth. What happened is it was just revolving around the Earth. It came and crashed into the Earth when the Earth was forming. When it came and crashed into the Earth, some part of that moon became a part of the Earth, and a portion of the Earth became a part of the moon. Not as soon as possible, but the entire new planet, Theia, that was coming, it was broken into small pieces. It was all crushed down to pieces, and Earth had rings, just like Saturn has these, rings made of water ice. So Earth also had these rings, which were made by the collision of Theia, and slowly they kept on rotating. Because of gravity, they came together, they grew bigger and bigger in size, and they grew so big that it actually formed a spherical moon. If we look at moons of Mars. They are smaller in size, that's why they're not spherical. They look like potato. But our own moon, it's a little better in shape and size. It looks completely spherical. And this is very, very important. The size of the moon is very important when it comes to solar eclipses and lunar eclipses. So, how do you think the size of the moon is important? Have you read any fact which says the size or the volume of the moon has any connection with why do we have eclipses? Like, if the moon was a little smaller, a little bigger, much more closer to Earth, or very far away from Earth, solar eclipses would not be possible. So, why do you think we have solar eclipses? How is the moon contributing in the solar eclipses? Other than obviously coming in front of the sun. Let's see. We have Thea everywhere. We're talking about Thea. Okay, let's go. Usha says it could be an extinct planet just in the size of Mars, which crashed. Okay, we are talking about Thea. So we have talked about this giant impact theory. There are other theories as well, which are related with how was the moon formed. There are much more new theory as well, which talk about that when this Thea planet came and crashed into our Earth, everything vaporized. Even the whole Earth had vaporized. But we obviously have not put a crown, or we can't say that this is the most correct theories. There are obviously theories which are which scientists think, many number of scientists think that they are right, but not yet a theory which is accepted by all the scientists. Just like we say that the Earth is round, we can't say that the moon was formed by something, the size of Mars. Thea came and collided. So this is a leading theory. And sun, moon, earth, when they are in this alignment, we have solar eclipses. Okay, so can I repeat the question? Yes, for sure. I'm asking, why is the size of the moon important to solar eclipses? We have solar eclipses. I'll just come to the next slide. um, Over here. So, what is an eclipse? An eclipse occurs when one heavenly body, such as the moon or a planet, moves in the shadow of other heavenly body. So, here we can see we have the sun, and then we have the earth, and then we have the moon. Sun is our star, it's very, very big in size. Then we have our earth, the planet on which we live on, and the tiny moon, which looks small in comparison to our planet and sun, but it's also very, very big in size. So this GIF shows, this animation shows how eclipse looks like, which is a lunar eclipse. We will see about it in a little more detail. And there is this other GIF which is showing what happens in a solar eclipse. So before I talk about the fact how they occur, I'm asking you, why is the size of this moon important when we are talking about solar eclipses? Will the solar eclipses taken would have taken place if the moon was closer to us, far away from us, bigger in size, smaller in size? If we change the moon, will we still see solar eclipses from Earth? Let's see. Okay, we have the answers. If the moon had a change in orbit or size, it will affect lunar eclipse. Okay, Nimle says that. Sumi says moon came in between the sun and earth. Yes, whenever the moon comes in between the sun and earth, we have a solar eclipse. From far distance from earth, the moon and sun looks like they are in the same shape. Yes. So from the earth, whenever we look at the moon and the sun, they look like they're in the same shape and also the same size. So during a solar eclipse, moon apparently covers the sun. So the size of the moon is important, because if the moon was, let's say, a little bit smaller in size, it would not be able to even cover the sun. And if it's not able to cover the sun, how will the sun hide? So the moon needs to be big enough in size to hide the complete sun. And sun is so big in size, it's thousands of times bigger in size. So how is this possible? Abhishek has the answer. Abhishek says that sun is 400 times more bigger in size than the moon, and the moon is 400 times closer to the sun No, not closer. Yeah, the moon is much more closer to us, and the sun is much more bigger in size. What is the ratio? 400 times. So, whenever we look from the earth, the sun and the moon appears of the same size. Yes, the sun is incredibly big in size, but it is also so far away. The moon is smaller in size from earth, and also it's very very small in size, but it is so close to our earth that it appears big in our sky. If we are talking about some other planet in our solar system, they have hundreds of moons. Saturn has so many moons, but this ratio is never possible. This correct ratio that Saturn has a moon which is at the correct distance and has the correct size to form a solar eclipse. What would have happened if the moon was even closer to us? Then we would never see a total solar eclipse which has these beads around it, which are known as Bailey's bead, or an annular solar eclipse which has a light of a ring of fire around it. We would never see that. To see it, we need to have the exact same ratio. If it was very very big, it's no fun. If it's very very small, then also it's not fun. So that's why the size of moon when the moon had initially been formed is very important. And as we can see, that we have eclipses and we have lunar eclipses, solar eclipses. There is one thing that happens always, which is they never come alone. You can't have just one solar eclipse in the entire year, like one eclipse only, or one lunar eclipse only. There is going to be a solar eclipse followed by a lunar eclipse, or the other way around. Either the lunar eclipse happens first and then we see the solar eclipse, or the solar eclipse happens first and then we see the lunar eclipse. And this year also it's the same. So I want to ask you, which happened first this year? Did we see a solar eclipse in the past, 1 week, 2 week ago, or we are we about to see a solar eclipse after 15 days? What has happened? Have we already seen a solar eclipse and now we are seeing a lunar eclipse, or have we already are we going to see a solar eclipse later on? Let's see who is keeping a track of when the solar eclipse had happened or is going to happen now in the future.
And I have mentioned in the
Solar
intro.
first, lunar next. Yes. That means they are listening very carefully. Hari says 15 days back was solar eclipse on 25 October, it's a lunar eclipse today. So this is only the case of this year. This does not means that always a solar eclipse happens first and then a lunar eclipse happens. They can change. Sometimes in a rare situation, what happens is we have a lunar eclipse, a solar eclipse, and then again a lunar eclipse back to back. That is so fun. And after millions of years, we will not have solar eclipse as the moon is going away from the earth. Yes, Abhishek, that's also true. We will not always see an eclipse. Why? Because the moon is going away from the earth every year about 4 centimeter per second. After millions of earth, it will be so far away, its size in the sky will appear small, and we will not have a solar eclipse. So we should enjoy eclipse sighting, the rare eclipses that only happen on the earth like this, as much as possible whenever possible. Solar eclipse already happened. Now we can see that this happens whenever the moon is in between the earth and the sun, and the moon is takes 28 29 days to orbit around the earth, and every 28 29 days it comes in between the sun and the moon. Still we don't always have a solar eclipse or always have a lunar eclipse. What is the chance for that? Like the moon, the earth, the sun, they always keep rotating, right? So why is it only that a few times in a year we are able to see a solar eclipse, a lunar eclipse? Why is not that we see it every month, that every month we are seeing a solar eclipse whenever the moon is in between the earth and the sun, that is on the new moon day? Why don't we always see it? Why do we have to wait for sometimes 8 months, 9 months, or sometimes 5 to 6 years to see a solar eclipse? uh, can a solar eclipse and a lunar eclipse happen consecutively? You will have this answer in just 5 minutes. As I'm explaining, you will see the requirements of both of them are different. So Noor says because the plane of moon is not aligned. Yes. So when the moon was formed, it's not like the moon was formed along with the earth only, and they're like brother sisters and they have the same orbit. in relation to the sun. What happens is the moon is a little bit tilted, 5% tilted, which is not much, but it is enough to make a problem for us. And whenever it is not aligned in the proper plane, sometimes it is just a little bit up or a little bit below than the right sweet spot, and we don't see a lunar eclipse or a solar eclipse. But whenever this sweet spot, or not randomness, but after there's a specific set of formula which says after how many months we should see a solar eclipse and a lunar eclipse, that's how we predict them. So after a certain months, this is we are able to see all the three bodies aligned, whether it's sun, moon, earth, or whether it's sun, earth, and moon. And whenever they're aligned once, they don't go out of this alignment just in a day or two. And that's why the solar and lunar eclipse happen back to back, happen close to each other. Because if they're already in a plane, then it is easier for the solar eclipse to happen. And in the same time, in just a span of 2 weeks, in just a span of 14 days, the other eclipse also follows. If they are exactly in the same plane, that the moon was exactly in the center, not somewhere, not a short lunar eclipse we had, but very long, hundreds minutes of lasting, then there's a high probability that we will see three eclipses back to back. So this just depends whether are we going to see a total lunar eclipse, total solar eclipse. All of these things depend upon how much the alignment that we're talking about of sun, moon, and earth, they are in the proper place. Sometimes it is a little bit too much up, too much down, too much left, too much right. So these things definitely make a problem. Now, the thing with the solar eclipses, it only happens when we have which type of moon? New moon or full moon? We obviously have gibbous moon, crescent moon, half moon, but a solar eclipse happens either on a new moon or a full moon. And the opposite of that is required in the lunar eclipse. It happens on a new moon, yes. Because it happens on a new moon, we are not able to see the moon at all. We don't see the moon at all. And what happens during a new moon? The moon rises with the sun, the moon sets with the sun, and in this entire journey of 8 to 9 hours, or sometimes 10 hours in the sky, there is a time of 1 hour or 30 minutes or 1.5 hour when the moon completely covers the sun somewhere in the day. Sometimes it just might be in the morning, sometimes it might be in the evening. For example, the last solar eclipse, it was happening during the sun was setting. So that means the alignment did not take place when the moon was still in the sky. It did not take place at 10 a.m., 12 a.m., or 12 p.m., 2 p.m. No, it waited till 4:30 p.m. And when the sun was setting, then was the right time that the moon came in front of the sun. And now, what has happened is the moon has completed 15 days, and it is in the full moon phase. So, what happens in the lunar eclipse? We have the sun, we have the earth, and then we have the moon. Now you can see that because the earth is a little bigger in size, the a lot portion of the earth is going to see the lunar eclipse. Simply, if you see on the this portion, which is the left hand side, all the states, all the countries, all the people which are living on this side of the earth, they will be able to see a lunar eclipse. May not be, we will see what are the different stages of a lunar eclipse. So they may not be able to see the blood red moon, but they will able to see a portion of it. Why? Because moon is a small body, earth is a bigger body, and the earth is able to have much more bigger shadow on the moon, and the moon is there in the shadow for many many hours. Sometimes it is there for 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours. It can stay in the shadow for a very very long time. But if we talk about the previous case of solar eclipse, the moon is a small body and the shadow is cast is only a small area. So the people who see the solar eclipse is also very very small. It's not like the complete half earth we are able to see. So solar eclipses are more rare because only a small portion of the people are able to see solar eclipse. Just a few countries, a few states. Lunar eclipses, they last for a longer time and they are much more easy to see. There's a high probability that if a lunar eclipse is happening, you may be able to see a part of it. For example, today's lunar eclipse, we are able to see it from different parts of India. Now, I want to talk about the stages of a lunar eclipse. What is going to happen? We have these different terms. There is a term penumbral, partial, total eclipse, maximum eclipse, all of these different terms we have. Before I get into it, you can see these two terms in the previous slide as well, umbra and penumbra. They show us the different type of shadows we have. So there is umbra and there is penumbra. Penumbra is the light shadow and umbra is the dark shadow we have. So if we are in a location on earth where the umbra is falling, that means we are going to see a total lunar eclipse. And if we are in a part of earth where only the penumbra shadow is falling, or the shadow of the moon is falling on the shadow of the earth is falling on the moon, but only the moon is available in the penumbra region. So we are only going to see the moon not change its color but only get dark, just like we have shadow on earth. If I have a shadow of my hand, the color of the floor does not changes, it just gets darker. So a dark shade of the moon we can see. And if we are talking about the umbra, which is the very dark shadow, then we have a possibility of the change of the color of the moon changing to red. This term, umbra and penumbra, is also seen in solar eclipses. You can see here, umbra and penumbra. So the people who are in the umbra, what happens to them? They are able to see totality. They're able to see the total solar eclipse. The people who are in penumbral regions, they are not able to see the total solar eclipse. What happens to them? They are only able to see a portion of it. Maybe 10% is hiding, maybe half percent, 50% is hiding. So by this information of umbra and penumbra, what do you think? The solar eclipse that we had 15 days ago, was it related to umbra? Was it completely hidden by the moon? Or was it related with penumbra? It was like only 10%, 20%, 50%, 5%, like a portion only was hiding. What do you think? Was it umbra or was it penumbra? Umbra means full shadow, dark shadow. You're going to see the eclipse full, total, best scenario. Penumbra means only partial, like you are not going to see the best view, but it's still something. You can see a difference. So let us see what do the students think over here. Penumbral Noor says, and what about the other people? Let's see. Ridhima also says penumbra shadow, and Nitya also says, Yogita also says, Sushant. All of them say penumbra because we know we only see a portion of it. But there were some countries, in our world which were able to see the total solar eclipse as well. They were lying in the umbra shadow regions. Now, what are the different stages? First, we have the penumbral eclipse. So I will also show you an animation which shows the total, but this is how they looks. If you see on the image that is behind us, a portion of the moon starts getting darker and darker, just like we have phases of the moon. The moon will slowly decrease in size from the full moon to gibbous moon, half moon, crescent moon, and then it will not just completely hide, but it will start to change color. It will get orange and brown and red sometimes. So slowly and slowly, it will completely get red, and then it will once again get dark for a little while. It go to the crescent phase from the full red moon back to crescent, and then half moon, gibbous moon, and then once again a full moon. So this whole phase, these different phases can last for either half an hour, 1 hour, 2 hour, depending upon where you live. So there are some locations in India where these phases will last for 2.5 hours, and there are some locations where the eclipse is only going to last for 20 minutes. Why? Because the eclipse has started. It depends upon where you are on earth, how much part of this eclipse you are going to see. The first thing happens is penumbral eclipse. This begins when the penumbral part of earth shadows start moving over the moon. How does this looks like? So if you see over here, this is the earth shadow. First we have the penumbra, then we have the umbra. When the penumbra comes, you can see there is not much difference in the color. It just gets a little bit more gray and green, a little dark. When the umbra comes, when the dark shadow comes, first of all it will hide the moon, and it will make that crescent moon, and now it is still suddenly turning into red. So this is how the today's lunar eclipse is going to look like if you are living in a place which has the best view, if you are living somewhere in the inside of it. This has been taken by time and date. So if you want to find the best, like depending upon where you are living in our country or outside India as well, you can go to this website. You can enter your location. It will tell you when the eclipse is starting, when the eclipse is going to have the peak time, the best time, and when the eclipse is going to end. So this is how the whole scenario takes place. It starts and it ends. So what is the first thing we can see? Penumbral eclipse. It happens, but we are not able to see much difference. This is going to happen today at around 2:30 in the afternoon, but we are not going to see the moon at 2:30 in India. We're only going to see it after 4:35 p.m. So that is going to happen very late. But there are other places in the world as well where people can watch the eclipse. So penumbral eclipse happens, then the partial eclipse begins. That the Earth's umbra is coming over, and we are able to see this stage where the moon is actually getting darker and darker in shade, and a hint of this red color is coming. Total solar eclipse happens when the moon really takes the entire moon is completely red, and nothing much is changing. It's not decreasing in size, increasing in size. That's not happening. It is completely in the umbra shadow of the earth. It looks red in that time. Maximum eclipse, this is the best time to see. This is the middle of the total solar eclipse, the whole duration. Total solar eclipse ends, that is, the moon is getting out of earth shadow. It's just going away. We will lose the red color. It is back to its original form. It is now going once again in size. Partial eclipse ends when the earth's umbra is completely out of the moon's surface. There are no tints of red. The moon is no longer even of a dark shade. The moon looks full as it is. There is a very, very little difference. And then penumbral eclipse also ends. So these, the last and the first stage, penumbral eclipse. This is very hard to tell by your eyes. But if you have a telescope or if you're taking pictures, then you can tell this difference. So once again, this is how the earth's shadow, the moon is there only, the earth is moving, and the moon is also moving. And what happens is when both of them are moving, and there is this stage that they, all the three of the bodies, the sun, the earth, and the moon, they're in this alignment. And just for 1 or 2 hours, there is this perfect time that the earth's shadow is coming, taking over. It gets darker, it gets so dark, completely dark, and then it changes to this red color, and then the opposite happens. So there is this question: why does it appear red? Let's answer that quickly. Why does the moon appear red? Because this is very important. The moon does not appear blue, the moon does not appear green, the moon does not appear pink. Then why does it appear red? Why red out of all the different colors that we have? Is there anything special about red? Does that mean that this event is unauspicious, or does that mean this is scary, or this is very bad? What does the red color signifies? Let's see. Some rays of the sun reach the moon. This is why the moon seems colored. Yes. So when we're talking about the eclipse, we talk that the earth's shadow has completely blocked it, but there are some rays. Which rays are there? There are some rays from the sun, they're coming and they're passing from the earth's atmosphere. Now earth has completely covered it in shadow, but the earth's atmosphere is not dense, and the shadow of the earth's atmosphere, how is it is going to form? It's not going to be that easy. So what happens is, the sun rays which are coming, they enter the earth's atmosphere, and most of the wavelengths, they get scattered. This is a principle which is known as railing scattering. This is why we have our sky blue. They get scattered. Blue color gets scattered more, so we have blue sky. Red colored gets scattered less, and red has a longer wavelength as well. So this red color is the only color which can cover this distance from the earth to the moon. All the other colors, blue, pink, and green, and purple, all of these other colors, they get absorbed by the earth's atmosphere only, and the red color and the orange color, they make it till the moon. So, and this only happens when a total eclipse is there, total lunar eclipse. In partial or penumbral, we can't see it. That's why whenever it is completely in the center, in the middle of the total lunar eclipse, it turns red because of the earth's atmosphere. The earth atmosphere scatters blue light, and we're not able to see it. Now, we have eclipse today. Are you going to eat anything? Yes, you should, because there are so many myths around it that we should not eat. Something is going to happen, but what is going to happen? These eclipses, they happen sometimes 3 times in a year, sometimes 5 times in a year, and this has nothing to do with food getting digested in a human's body on the planet earth. You feel free to eat at any time, even during the 6 p.m., 5 p.m., 4 p.m., even right now, or even at 9:30 in the night. There is nothing wrong that is going to happen with your body, scientifically speaking, because the eclipse is an astronomical event which has nothing to do with the humans here on earth or their lifestyle, or something is going to happen back to them. So you can eat, you can wear new clothes, you can go out, you can look at the moon, and you should look at the moon. And if you have a telescope, definitely go out and use a telescope to watch it, take pictures of it, watch it through naked eyes. We can't see solar eclipse with naked eyes, but this we definitely can. And if you're not if you don't have a telescope with you, you can go to a local planetarium, for example the Nehru Planetarium in Delhi, and you will be able to see that so many other people are outside their homes and they're enjoying this astronomical event. And this is my last slide. So this just shows the different timings. And because I've already taken 45 minutes, so if you have any questions, you can just ask them in the comments as well. And in the meantime, this is the slide which just shows today's timings. So it starts at 4:30 p.m. It will last till 6:20 p.m. today. Now it depends. You have to find out what is the time when the moon is going to rise. If the moon is rising between 4:30 p.m. till 6:20 p.m., you will see a part of the eclipse. If it is rising after 6:20 p.m., that means you're not going to see the total lunar eclipse. You are only going to see penumbral, which, as I said, is very hard to tell with the naked eyes. Otherwise, unless you have a telescope or a DSLR camera to capture the difference. So, if the moon is rising anywhere between 4:30 p.m. till 6:20 p.m., you are going to have a very good view. If you're living in India, depends upon where you live though. If you are somewhere in the East India, Kolkata, Assam, you are going to see the moon, blood red, as the best views. The moon rises at 5 p.m. At 5:30 you can see the best view. If you are somewhere in places of Gujarat, Rajasthan, or Tamil Nadu, or not Tamil Nadu, Kerala, or Mumbai, Goa, then you will only able to see a portion of it, like a very small portion. So that's pretty much it. Feel free to ask any questions that you have, either on my email or on my handle, or any other questions you have. I can answer them right away. So thank you for listening. That's all the information I had to share.
Thank you so much, Rashmi. It was really a pleasure to know such detailed information in a very interesting manner, although together. Like you have shared the scientific aspect as well as the very interesting story, myths associated with it. So I think you have given us a very wider picture to in a very detail about the eclipses, and also you have shared some of the very much detail about the solar eclipses. So I think the online participant had got much clear vision about the topic in detail, and now we are open to take some of the questions. So anyone would like to ask related to today's topic can post in the chat box, and we can highlight those and can take questions, and Rashmi can answer. So we have during this, we got one question actually. So would like to mention it specifically. We don't eat before the eclipse. It's okay to respect tradition. And yes, Harish, with due respect, we are not here to say that we are not respecting religion, but religion is anybody's personal belief. We cannot call it like no, we are not forced to do it, but we are just sharing the scientific part of it. We are not promoting anything, so you are free to do anything. Like if your insight said you want to have it during eclipses or not, it's your personal opinion. But on the forum, on the platform of Nehru Planetarium, we just wanted to share the scientific aspect of it. And coming from a planetarium background, here we have like seen so much eclipses, solar and the lunar, and we have seen it through our naked eyes. If we talk about the lunar eclipses, and with the protective filters, the solar eclipses, nothing bad happens to us. So we can give our example to you, that having food all together in eclipses and standing there and see this celestial treat is just a treat. It's nothing to do any bad impact on your body, but still if you have certain religious belief associated with it, you are free to follow that. We are not here to argue on this topic, but we just wanted to give you a broader picture on this. So with this, now we'll take some questions. Okay. Munish Yadav, can we see Earth eclipse if we are on moon? If sun is on left, Earth on middle, and moon on right.
Yes, we can actually see an Earth eclipse as well, just like we have the solar eclipse and the lunar eclipse, which we can see from Earth. If we go to the moon, we can see a different kind of eclipse where the Earth blocks out the light of the sun. It looks something similar to solar eclipse, how we see on Earth. So that also looks. I'll share an image of that, how it looks. But yes, that's definitely possible. And if there is an astronaut today on the moon, they will be also able to enjoy this sight. So there are, obviously we don't have real pictures of it, but scientists have have made animations how this might look like if somebody was on the moon and they were to look up at 5:30 p.m. in the evening. So I'll share an image of that quickly.
So meanwhile, people are so much curious that can we see the red moon in Delhi? Unfortunately, no. We cannot see it from Delhi. I think Rashmi would like to take it.
Yes, we can't see it from Delhi. Why? Because the Delhi is lying somewhere not in the Ambra region. Because, like, if you find out what is the time at which the moon is rising in the Delhi, and what is the time at which the lunar eclipse is ending, they are very very close, and that is why you are not able to see the entire red moon. You're only able to see the entire red moon when the moon is completely 100% in the shadow of the umbra, the 100% shadow. But from Delhi, that's not possible. Only of some regions which are in the East India, they're able to see the red eclipse. But you can see a portion of it, not completely, but let's say half moon or less than half moon, that you're able to see from Delhi as well.
So in from
Okay,
east, from Kolkata, Siliguri, Patna, Bihar, and Guwahati will be able to see much total eclipse
better
and the
views.
blood moon. Yes, good celestial treat from there. But unfortunately, from Delhi and places near to Delhi, NCR, Noida, as people are asking, we are not able to see it. Also because of the location, because if you're gonna check it on a stellarium and all, it's almost the eclipse is at very low towards the horizon. It's 9 degree towards the horizon, so probably because of the obstruction between the a lot of buildings, trees, and things like that, we won't be able to see this celestial treat from our naked eyes as well as from the telescopes.
Yes. And we can't see red moon from Delhi this time, but there are other lunar eclipses which keep on happening. So as I said, these eclipses, solar eclipses, lunar eclipses, they happen every now and then. It just depends whether we're lucky or not. So maybe if this time it's not happening from Delhi, like the total lunar eclipse is not happening, you need to be alert, and you need to find out when it is going to happen next year. So next year, somewhere in I think summer months, maybe in March it's happening. So you can go out and you can try to find out, is that the time that you're able to see from Delhi? Or if not from March, then back in September, October, is that the time that you're going to see? If not in next year too, then the next to next year. So it's not very hard to actually watch a total lunar eclipse, because that covers a very large portion of the Earth's population. Solar eclipses are much more rare. But definitely, if you want to be prepared, it's better to experience as many lunar eclipses as possible, no matter how much portion of the moon is covered. So just like take some time out and look up at the moon, take pictures of it, because it's a beautiful experience, and tell everybody else about it as well, that today is lunar eclipse. And you can ask your friends who are living in different parts of the India to share their pictures how they are able to see. So that way, even if you're not able to see from your location, you will still get you will be still connected with your friends and see how it's visible from the other locations.
Yes, and also live feeds are available on internet. You can definitely go and check that to understand the science more detail. Can we come to planetarium for better experience? Sorry, Mohammed Salman, not this time because as I shared that this celestial feed we won't be able to see through even with the telescopes. So for this lunar eclipse, planetarium is not organizing any public viewing. Lastly, we did it for solar eclipses because the position was pretty much good to see from the equipments we have, but not this time. We are not going to have it any celestial viewing in planetarium.
So that means you will have to watch some live feeds, and I think they are able to see live feeds from locations whichever is in different parts of India, which are in the East India and different parts of the world as well. So just if you go on YouTube at 5 p.m. Tonight in the evening today, and if you type live feed of lunar eclipse, you will most probably get a planetarium or another observatory who are streaming the live view, and you can enjoy it there. And this was just give me 1 second. I wanted to share how this looks like. Okay. So I found the picture, and this is how the eclipse would look like if we were on the moon. So you can see it here, how the eclipse would look like if we were on the moon. The Earth is going to come in front of the sun, and we can see the corona. We can see a little bit this red tint that is coming. It's once again from the Earth's atmosphere scattering more red light. So this is how the view would be like. We will also able to see the lights from the cities, because unlike the moon, people live on the earth, and this will be night time for the people who are living on the earth, for example, at 7 p.m, 8 p.m, at that time. So they will be able to see, and this is how it is going to appear from them. If somebody was living on the moon, they will see some countries as well. They'll see a red hue, a red a glow around the earth and the corona of the sun. So that's how more or less it's going to appear. And somebody had asked, can we see solar eclipse and lunar eclipse at the same time? No,
Hmm.
because we need that arrangement, right? The sun is stationary there in the place, but either we need the moon to come in between, or we need the sun to come in between, so they can't happen at the same time. Either we have the moon in between or the earth in between, and this arrangement takes 15 days. So a full moon is required when we're talking about lunar eclipse. A new moon or no moon is required when we're talking about a solar eclipse, which is why we can't have both of them together at once. Either we have full moon or we have new moon, and we can have just one eclipse at a time. Something extraordinary is obviously the moon and the sun, which are present in the sky at the same time. That is very nice whenever the sun is setting and the moon is rising, or during a solar eclipse, when the moon and the sun, they rise and they set from the same location, like on the last solar eclipse they were setting at the same time. So those things are also very rare. Otherwise, we can see the moon in the daytime, but not the solar eclipse and the lunar eclipse at the same time. That's not going to happen, just because they are different celestial events.
Because of this different celestial positioning, we cannot see it on the same time. So we have one more interesting question, I think very imaginary. Ma'am, suppose if we are on moon during eclipse, then what view can we get?
Yes. So once again, something like this, if you are on the moon, if you think that we are not getting a good view in Delhi and you want to go to the moon, then this is the kind of view you will see from there. And all the locations on the earth which can see the lunar eclipse, you can see them from the moon as well. So the places that you see, the cities and the continents that you see, you will be able to see them. You can even say hello to somebody who's able to watch a penumbral lunar eclipse, partial lunar eclipse. All of them will be visible, and what you will see, that the sun is bright, the Earth is slowly and slowly covering it, and it covers fully, and then it leaves its shadow. The same view that we get is at a solar eclipse, that the moon is coming and coming and it covers it and it leaves by, right? So if you see it over here, something like this would be the arrangement. This would be the arrangement that we have the sun, and rather than the earth and the moon, they will switch places, and that is how it is going to appear. That the earth is going to come in between, it's going to cast a shadow, and it's going to completely hide the sun. And it's, I hope it will be a beautiful view, and in future we will have astronauts on the moon, because there are missions of NASA and the private space industry, SpaceX as well, to go to the moon. We have ISRO's mission Gaganyaan to go to the space, and eventually to other celestial objects as well. So I think in the future we might get a view of how, humans, astronauts who are living in different places of the world, they are able to see a solar eclipse, a lunar eclipse, or something new as well, an asteroid eclipse. So all those things, hopefully in the future we'll be able to see.
Definitely. Uh, are there any effect of solar and lunar eclipses on Earth?
So we have some effects of not lunar eclipse, but moon in general, which are known as tides. So every day we have like two tides, high tides and low tides. They happen. Sometimes again there is pseudoscience and myths related to this. That what kind of effect do we have on the earth because of this? Some people try to sell it as well, that because we are made of water, and the moon is having so much effect on the earth's ocean, earth's tide, then it must affect so much on our body too. But then again is pseudoscience, and we don't have any harmful effects on our body, like harmful. There's nothing that is you need to be scared of. There are obviously some effects, like natural effects, that the ocean water is much more higher in the sky or lower in the sky, but not something that you should be scared of. When it comes to solar eclipses, they are again something that people are very scared of, that UV rays are coming, or at the during a lunar eclipse there are infrared, that these waves are coming. So that is not true. There are no special harmful waves that come either of the two eclipses. Even during a solar eclipses, there are no extra UV rays that are coming. The only reason why it is so harmful is because if you stare at the sun, even if it's not a solar eclipse and you stare at the sun, you can develop something in your eyes, and you can lose your the eyesight, or you can develop some other disease. So you should not just look at the sun, and when the brightness of the sun is changing, what happens is your pupil is decreasing in size, increasing in size. Uh, like it's expanding or contracting, and when the totality is just going away, and the moon is not no longer blocking the sun, what happens is the brightness of the sun rises in a very short span of time, and your pupil is not able to adjust. So because of that, it is harmful to look at the sun. Not that the sun in itself is harmful. So if you just manage the brightness of the sun, solar eclipses are safe, and that's why we have eclipse classes. When it comes to lunar eclipses, they are already safe. You should not be scared of anything. You can eat, enjoy, go out. Nothing extra precautions you need to take care of, that they can happen. So no side effects. Definitely there are some changes, because these are heavenly bodies. As I said, whenever the moon is there, we have tides, but that's where it stops, not other effects.
Yes, so they are completely safe. You can enjoy the celestial treat. Unfortunately, today we won't be able to see it from Delhi and places near to Delhi NCR. So we request you to kindly have a check on a web links. People who are doing webcast from those locations, like near to Kolkata, Siliguri, Patna, and Ranchi and Guwahati, probably you can at least get a magnificent look of how blood moon looks. And with this, I think we'll wrap today's session. Thank you, Rashmi. Thank you once again for coming on this platform and sharing much detailed information about the eclipses altogether. And this video will be available on the YouTube channel of Nehru Planetarium. In case anybody miss any point, you can definitely have a check again. So thank you everyone. Thank you once again for coming and joining online discussion of Nehru Planetarium. And we really look forward to see you again for some another discussion, which we gonna have it on 12th of November, which is about the astrophotography basics. And we are really privileged to have Prathamesh, which is a very a youth sensation, recently got clicked in many local medias and international media about his images of moon. So we really look forward to see you for that discussion as well. And thank you once again, Rashmi. Thank you.
Yes, thank you for having me, and I also encourage you to watch the next live stream that Prerna ma'am is talking about, because I have seen astrophotography of Prathamesh, and they are very good. And he also started out just as a student, taking help from planetarium too, and now he has taken such amazing shots. So if you love taking pictures, or if you want to have a career in astrophotography, definitely learn from the best. And I hope to come back at another solar eclipse, lunar eclipse, or something else is happening, because we have so many celestial events that are just happening and so much to share. And I was glad that the audience here was very active and they were very
Yes,
participating.
yes.
If they have any more doubts, they can definitely connect with me. And thank you for making today's session so enjoyable. Have a nice day. Bye bye.
Yes, everyone have a nice day. And with the closing of this YouTube live, we'd like to just mention Jyoti. Jyoti asking about we cannot see solar eclipses, but we can see lunar eclipses. Yes, because a sun is not advisory to see from the naked eyes, even it is not on the eclipse mode. In a regular life, it is not advised to see sun through our naked eyes. We need to use certain kind of a filters, which is solar goggles, to see the eclipses, and that is not altogether we can see or like continuously staring. Even those filter, through that filter also we have to see with the intervals. So sun is not ever advised to see from the naked eyes. That's why we say solar eclipses are we should not see it from our naked eyes. We use to have certain filters to avoid any kind of a damage to our eyes altogether. Like if we talk about the lunar eclipses, because lunar, as we call it, moon, is much safer than sun. It does not emits any harmful rays which can destroy our pupil of our eyes. So that's why lunar eclipses are safe, and solar eclipses we need certain filters to avoid any kind of a damage to our body. I hope this gives you answer to your question. And with this, we'll take a bye. We take a wrap for this. Thank you, everyone, once again. And thank you, Rashmi, for coming and sharing the talk. Thank you. Do take care. Bye.
Yes, thank you. Bye bye.